You always say negative stuff about Marvin. And I'm like, I ain't do nothing to you. No, don't do that. I ain't seen nothing positive that you ever said. I think I'm positive every day. What up, Tony? Come on, Tony. What I do? What I do to you, Tony?
Why? Well, people say he throws a lot before practice and after practice. Well, how counterproductive is that?
I'm sure there's a method to the madness.
What is it?
He's trying to get his arm right, though. I'm sure he's probably practiced more now than he has at any point in his
Well, it obviously
career.
was counterproductive because he's got a sore arm.
Okay.
Picture it, Shedeur Sanders lights up the field in his Browns debut, and before the Gatorades even dried, he's nose-to-nose with Tony Grossi like we've stumbled into the unscripted finale of a sports reality show no one realized they were watching. The stadium's humming, reporters are tripping over each other, and Shedeur? He's dishing out post-game heat hotter than his touchdown bombs. What was said? What sparked it? And why does Grossi look like he just opened a bill for a service he never signed up for? Buckle in, this one's wild.
Honestly, I really respect the way that Shedeur Sanders handled this interaction with Tony Grossi. If you don't know who Tony Grossi is, he's a Browns reporter who has been around for a really long time and has been highly critical of the team and its players, which sometimes is justified, sometimes is a little over the top. He's really known for getting into it with Baker Mayfield over the years and had some not nice things to say about his height in particular. He's obviously been highly critical of Shedeur as well since he got to Cleveland, and Shedeur handled this with class and in a really lighthearted manner. Like, I really respect that he kind of said it to his face and was like, yeah, you say negative stuff about me, like, what do you have to say about that? But he also like laughed it off and was patting his back, so he wasn't taking it too seriously. Like, he came at it from a really lighthearted.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe Shedeur Sanders to the channel, it helps more than you think. Tony Grossi had absolutely nothing, no snide remark, no clever jab, not even a half-hearted smirk. And that's saying a lot for a guy who's made a career out of always having the last word. But when Shedeur Sanders walked right up, locked eyes, and essentially asked if he could manage a single nice comment for once in his life, Grossi's arsenal went dry. His words vanished faster than a Browns playoff lead. He blinked, shifted in his seat, maybe reached for his pen just to keep his hands busy, but it was written all over his face, he was on the ropes. For the first time in a long time, Tony Grossi wasn't running the conversation. He was just trying to survive it.
For Sanders, kind of a quiet day. I mean, he was 7 of 10. He was credited with a touchdown in the 7-on-7 red zone.
He was accredited with the touchdown? He was accredited with the touchdown? Did he throw the touchdown or did he not? What do you mean by that? See, these are the times where you just use their words. I'm using his own words against him. Rough day for the offense. And Shedeur went 7 for 10, touchdown, no interception.
By then, it wasn't even about ego. Shedeur had just spent 4 quarters pulling off things rookie quarterbacks have no business even attempting. He played like the rulebook was being rewritten on the fly to suit whatever he felt like doing. Pressure? He slipped out of it. Tight windows? He threaded darts through them. Defensive backs lying in wait? He lured them in like a pro angler with a pond full of hungry fish. It was precision mixed with swagger, surgical execution that somehow looked completely effortless.
Hey, what did we do? Yeah, man, very playful way to go ahead and get at Tony Grossi. Like let's really be honest here, right? Like, this isn't, he's not going over the top, he's not doing too much, but I do appreciate him going up, knowing how the media goes, knowing how he's handled things, knowing how professional he's done. And when you see things, just in case you don't know, when you see things like this.
By the final whistle, the scoreboard wasn't just recording a Browns win. It was broadcasting a highlight reel of every critic swallowing their own takes, with Grossi standing first in line. This wasn't about grudges or vendettas. It was about cold, undeniable reality. The kind you can't spin or sidestep. Shedeur had taken the narrative, crumpled it up, and replaced "can he" with "he just did." And there it was, lit up in big numbers for everyone to see.
Shedeur said all the right things last night as expected after a great preseason debut. Let's take a listen to what Shedeur had to say.
I mean, God's patient with us as humans.
we messed up at times, but I don't feel like he threw us away as individuals. So it's different things and different life lessons, you got to go through. And I haven't went through this situation, that I'm in ever. So it's really just a test, I feel like from God.
The thing is, Grossi wasn't alone. The doubters had been circling for months. Analysts with the "I know football" voice, radio callers convinced the NFL is just Madden with better graphics, and ex-players who swear the game was harder back in their day because the helmets didn't fit right. They all had theories. They all had doubts. And they were all wrong. Haters will be haters, sure. But Shedeur has a way of making them look not just wrong, but hilariously wrong. Like standing in line for a movie that's been canceled for hours. Wrong. Every time they think they've spotted a weakness, he comes back the next play and makes it look like it was part of the plan. Every interception they predict turns into a 50-yard bomb. Every rookie mistake they anticipate turns into a highlight that gets replayed in slow motion with dramatic music. The best part? He doesn't seem to care. Not in the cocky, nothing can touch me way, more in the I'll let my game do the talking way. He keeps his head down, runs the plays, and doesn't disappoint. He doesn't waste time firing back at talking heads or starting Twitter wars. He just plays. And it's the kind of playing that makes all the noise around him seem small. Analysts still try, of course. They slow down game film, circle random players with red markers, and talk about footwork angles and release mechanics like they're explaining ancient hieroglyphics. They can't just say he's good. They have to find the imaginary crack in the armor. But every week, Shedeur keeps patching those cracks with touchdowns and wins.
Shedeur Sanders went out there and went crazy last night, in which he ended the game being 11 of 18 with 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a QB rating of 113.9. We got to see everything that we wanted to see. Okay, we saw the precision, we saw the accuracy, we saw his ability to stand in the pocket. We also saw the ability for him getting out of the pocket when he needed to. Okay, everything we need to see, we saw, in which he did nothing but go out there and prove his haters wrong. But he did get to stand face to face with one of his haters last night, and that's none other than Tony.
It's almost comedic watching them twist themselves into knots to avoid just admitting they underestimated him. One week they'll say he's too aggressive. Next week, they'll say he's too conservative. Then, when he adjusts perfectly, they'll say maybe he's just getting lucky. It's like watching someone insist a coin is rigged after it lands heads 20 times in a row. And Grossi? Well, that silent moment said more than any column or post-game analysis ever could. He'd been skeptical, that's his brand, but skepticism only works when the other guy gives you something to hang it on. Shedeur didn't. He gave him nothing but efficiency, poise, and highlight after highlight. It was the professional equivalent of handing someone a checkmate in 5 moves and then asking if they still think you don't know how to play chess. You could almost see it in Grossi's face during that post-game moment. The reluctant recognition that this wasn't a fluke. That maybe, just maybe, Cleveland had found the quarterback they'd been searching for since before some of the fans in that stadium were born. And while the media spun the clip into 100 different narratives, Shedeur moved on like it never happened. Another day, another win, another round of haters left looking like they'd been caught rewriting their predictions mid-sentence. The real comedy is that the cycle will repeat. Every new opponent, every new game, someone will step up with a fresh take on why Shedeur's run can't last. And every time, he'll step on the field and make it last a little longer.
To agree with you, they had to let you play because everybody else was hurt. Because you ain't had no choice. If they didn't let you play, they brought a guy in. They brought in Snoop Huntley because Flacco wasn't going to play and the other 2 couldn't play. So, but you did your thing. All you could control is what you could control. What you could control was how you played, how you handled the situation that you've been placed in.
He did it. He did very well. He did a hell of a job.
And he handled it well. He said all the right things. He did all the right things. And that's control what you can control.
If you've watched enough football, you know this pattern: a rookie explodes onto the scene, the pundits swarm, the nitpicking begins. But this feels different. Not just because of the talent, but because of the calm. Shedeur doesn't look like he's playing for approval. He's playing for results. And when you play for results, the scoreboard does all the talking. It's the quiet parts that make it even funnier. The way he walks off the field like it's just another job well done. The way he shrugs off praise like it's just part of the week. The way he doesn't rise to the bait when someone throws a sideways comment. It drives the critics insane, because without a reaction, they're just shouting into the wind. And so, Grossi's non-response wasn't just a moment, it was the perfect metaphor for this whole season so far. The critics will always be there. They'll always have something to say. But as long as Shedeur keeps playing like this, the only words they'll have left are the ones they're swallowing. And the best part? He's not even done yet. Because if this was him in his first start, you have to wonder what it's going to look like once he's settled in, once the playbook's second nature, once the timing with his receivers is as tight as it can get. If this is just the beginning, the haters might want to invest in some antacids. Because they're going to be eating their words all season long.
I told y'all so. I told y'all Shedeur is the baddest man in the world, and I personally still think Cleveland is going to sabotage him even furthermore. So Tony Grossi, who I've been on his head for a minute, and I want all of y'all to tell me thank you, because apparently I lost my head. Your favorite YouTuber ain't been predicting. I think I'm Moses over here. I've been predicting everything about this. Now Stephen A. Smith want to say, I think they're sabotaging Shedeur Sanders, but we've been saying it over here for months.
And oh, the takes started flying. Browns fans were all in, finally, a quarterback with backbone. NFL commentators were split. Was this leadership or arrogance? And then, of course, came the old guard of act like you've been there before purists, clutching their metaphorical pearls like Shedeur had just staged a mutiny. By the next morning, Shedeur's jersey sales had spiked, his highlights had millions of views, and Grossi's name was trending for the first time in years, mostly because half the internet thought he got verbally stiff-armed. And somewhere in the background, the rest of the Browns organization was probably just sitting there thinking, wait, is this what having a franchise QB feels like? But here's the thing, whether you saw it as confidence or cockiness, there was no denying what happened. A rookie walked into the NFL, lit up his first game, and stared down one of the city's most seasoned skeptics without blinking. That's not luck. That's a statement. And it's only the beginning. Because you can almost hear it now, the whispers from defensive coordinators across the league. The subtle tightening of game plans. The shift from we'll test the rookie to we better watch this guy. The narrative just flipped, and Shedeur Sanders is the one holding the pen.
Tony Grossi has went berserk. He's going out of his way now to move the goalposts for Shedeur Sanders, and he won't stop. It's to the point his own partners have to get in the shouting match, and even they know he doesn't like people who look like me and Shedeur. So he's losing his mind and blaming Shedeur Sanders as the problem. Mad at Shedeur Sanders for reporting a sore arm. He claims that, and I'm gonna play the video, but bear with me. He claims that Shedeur sabotaged his own self in this competition.
By Monday morning, Cleveland had officially entered a new psychological state, somewhere between euphoria and suspicion. The Browns fan base has been hurt too many times before, so they were already fighting the urge to start designing Super Bowl rings on Canva. But it didn't matter. The city's mood had shifted. Coffee tasted better. People actually waved when letting cars merge. And in one shocking development, a man on East 9th reportedly returned a lost wallet with all the cash still inside. Claiming Shedeur would want me to. The memes were instant. The most popular one had Shedeur standing over Grossi like the infamous Allen Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue moment. Another had Shedeur photoshopped as a king on the Browns logo throne, Grossi kneeling like a court scribe reluctantly chronicling history. There was even one where his stat line was labeled items in cart and Grossi's face was labeled proceed to checkout, which made absolutely no sense but somehow went viral anyway. Meanwhile, inside the Browns locker room, the veterans were having a moment of their own. You know how in movies there's that scene where the grizzled old cop realizes the rookie's not just good, he's scary good? That was happening in real life. The offensive line was already vowing blood oaths to keep him upright.
For 4 years or more, they're gonna sabotage him when he gets drafted. Any football team. You're welcome. Tony Grossi, bring that ass here, boy. Shedeur finally liked my videos and felt my energy and said, to hell with you, Tony. I've been exposing you and not worrying about any goddamn sponsorship since the Cleveland fans ain't brave. And Cleveland fans, no thank you. We like y'all, but have a goddamn seat. The Cleveland fans had a chance to expose this a while ago. Instead, they keep coming at me because I'm exposing your failed organization for not putting a young man like that at the forefront. You tried to get Shedeur injured.
The receivers were suddenly running sharper routes, because nothing motivates like knowing the guy under center might actually make you look like a pro bowler. Even the defense, which normally doesn't care about the QB unless he's throwing them interceptions in practice, started walking a little taller. Because in football, when your offense stops being a liability, your defense stops feeling like it's trying to keep water out of a sinking ship with a teacup. Of course, the national sports media couldn't resist throwing gasoline on the fire. Morning talk shows plastered Shedeur's face next to headlines like Rookie Revolution and Too Much Too Soon. One segment even ran a split screen of Shedeur throwing a touchdown and Tony Grossi adjusting his glasses, as if to imply they were somehow equally important moments in sports history. And then came the inevitable think pieces, those sprawling, overly serious essays about what this says about leadership in Gen Z athletes. Meanwhile, Grossi himself wasn't hiding. The man's been through decades of Cleveland sports drama. A rookie QB wasn't going to send him into witness protection. He went on local radio, gave his take, still skeptical, still measured, but maybe just a little begrudgingly impressed. And because this is Cleveland, that clip also made the rounds, usually captioned with something like, Tony Grossi, the sequel, this time it's personal.
Using that as a negative against the kid?
I don't understand.
Jesus God, would you give him a chance?
Well,
My God,
here's the
because his
thing.
arm's sore?
Yeah.
What, that's a negative? That the kid's got a sore arm? 'Cause
Yes.
he's working too hard?
Get the hell out of here. Out of here. And you know, I think it did. I think it bit a few people, right? I think it bit a few people. So I want to speak up. We got some more Tony Grossi clips. But before I get into it, just off those two first clips, man, has Shedeur Sanders not handled basically every single situation the right way?
By midweek, the NFL itself seemed to have taken notice. Official league accounts started reposting Shedeur's highlights with captions that were just shy of fanboying. And behind the scenes, you could almost picture defensive coordinators from next week's opponent watching film with a new sense of urgency, pausing the tape every time Shedeur extended a play and muttering things like, "Oh, that's a problem." Cleveland's practice facility turned into a low-key media circus. Reporters swarmed. Every teammate interview came with at least one Shedeur question, and every answer ranged from "he's the real deal" to "the man walks like the floor owes him money." Even Deion Sanders Jr. made his presence felt. Not just in the stands during the game, but now in the practice bubble, phone in hand. Documenting every drop back like it was a Netflix documentary. And the fans, oh, the fans. They were already mapping out road trips to away games. Some were digging out their old Browns merch from the last time they believed, usually buried under layers of emotional dust from the Baker Mayfield era. You could hear it in the tailgate chatter, the cautious optimism that maybe, just maybe, they weren't cursed forever.
I do not know who Tony Grossi is. He is a reporter for the Cleveland Browns, and he's also one of the biggest haters of Shedeur Sanders that I've ever seen in my entire life. Hands down. Now, if you ask me, I do feel like Shedeur Sanders handled himself very well when he saw Tony Grossi, okay? Because anything could have happened. As much trash as Tony Grossi talk about Shedeur Sanders, Shedeur, he really could have got active enough. But for him to humble himself, to just speak his piece, laugh it off, and walk away from Tony Grossi. That shows a whole level of leadership. And that is exactly what, if it was me, if I was the coach, that is exactly what I want in my locker room. That gives me future leader, captain, all of that.
But with all this hype came the shadow no one wanted to talk about, the weight. Because now Shedeur wasn't just a rookie QB. He was the guy. The one who had to keep this high going, who had to keep throwing darts while the rest of the league started designing blueprints to stop him. Next Sunday was already being billed as a showdown, a veteran-led defense against the rookie who refused to blink. And every camera in America would be watching, waiting to see if the magic was real or just week one adrenaline. The Browns' social media team leaned in hard, posting slow-motion videos of Shedeur in practice with captions that could double as Marvel trailer taglines. Even in interviews, you could sense it, Shedeur wasn't running from the moment. He wasn't downplaying it, and he definitely wasn't giving the canned one game at a time answers. This was a guy who'd been groomed for the spotlight his entire life, and now that it was here, he was making sure the light stayed right on him. And that's when it hit people, maybe the confrontation with Grossi wasn't just a spicy post-game clip. Maybe it was the exact thing Cleveland needed, a quarterback who didn't just play well but owned the room, the moment, the storyline. The kind of presence that turns wins into waves. So whether you thought it was competence, arrogance, or just rookie bravado, one thing was certain, Shedeur Sanders had done something very few Browns QBs have managed in the last few decades. He made the city believe. And in Cleveland, that's rarer than a parking spot downtown on game day.